So we'll talk about these rear shocks while Renan goes and rides. I'll be out in a minute. These are from TB Parts, and I can never find them on their website, but they gave me the part number, so I'm going to put that in the description. I went from stock shocks to the man in the box shocks to the TB Parts DNM AR or something shocks to these shocks. And why I did that was because every one of those other shocks was just a little bit too stiff for the off-road riding that I do. They were pretty good on the street, but off-road they were just a little too stiff, and they were beating my rear end up despite the really cushy seat. So I just kept trying shocks and trying to dial them in and get them a little bit softer, and I really like these shocks. I don't know what they're called, which is embarrassing. I'm gonna put the part number in the description. I don't know if I'll have a link, but anyways, I highly recommend these shocks if you're doing off-road riding. They're a little bit stiffer than the OEM, but not too stiff. They're a really good blend. What? Oh, thanks. Don't do the donuts on the grass. It's impossible to tell a 5-year-old riding a motorcycle not to do donuts where we would like to grow grass. But anyways, so yeah, these shocks are awesome, and I'm going to talk about them while I ride a little bit. I was going to do this video, and I probably will do this video in the shop as well, but we'll just do the riding portion of it back here. So these shocks, they're a perfect middle ground between the stock and the, what I want to call the mid-range or middle of the road budget-wise shocks, which are the man in the box, the DNM, and probably the YSS. I don't know, I haven't run the YSS.
Cool bike. They're called Fern bikes.
Yeah.
It chops up the fern.
Okay.
That is what they chop up the fern.
Okay. So there's going to be a lot of stops in this video because Brennan likes to stop and chat every once in a while. So I'll cut him out unless it's something really funny, as you can see.
They're trying to do a whip on everyone.
Yeah, be careful though. He thinks he's doing whips, which is scary because a 5-year-old is trying to do whips on his motorcycle. I say this a little weird because it is a little weird that 5-year-olds riding a motorcycle as well, but he's been doing this since he was 3, so he's a 2-year veteran at it already. He rides really well. But anyways, so these shocks, middle of the road, they're pretty cheap, I think, even more budget than the DNM or the YSS. I don't even know, actually. I don't even know. TB Parts sent them to me to test because I said I was a little bit disappointed in the DNM shocks, and they said, hey, I think we got something that you might like, and they sent me these, and I really like them. So I just kind of exchanged them for those DNMs. At the first they sent me a chrome set. I just didn't like the way they looked. I asked if they had a black set, and they said, yeah, we sure do. So I still have that chrome set, and luckily TB Parts is such a great company to deal with. I was going to send those shocks back, and they said no, keep them and do a giveaway for them. So we'll look forward to that. I'm going to do a giveaway for these very shocks that are on this, actually not on this bike. They're a chrome version of the shocks that are on this bike. Some of you all might like that. It didn't fit the motif of my bike, so I can't really explain. They're kind of like a mystery shock, but it's my favorite shock for this bike so far. And I obviously do a lot of off-road riding. There goes my cutting out problem. Still there. So I do a lot of off-road riding, and these shocks really fit the bill. Yeah, you can see that cutting out. So I'll go into the cutting out problem as I reset it. So I did a video about the cutting out, and a lot of you guys are waiting for the troubleshooting on that, which I still haven't done, just gotten busy. The coronavirus has really caused our business to explode and just get really busy, so I haven't had time to really do much work on the bikes. But the cutting out is an issue, and check out my other video for that. I'll put a link up on the top. We'll try to clear this. Oh, didn't quite make it, but the shocks, they will bottom in the back, but just barely. So even on that jump there, bottoming out wasn't too bad. I'll try it again. There we go. Smooth as butter. Now the front forks are a problem now, so. Yeah, 2 good jumps, 2 good clears, 2 soft landings. These shocks, very well composed, so I don't really know how much more I can talk about these shocks. So I'm going to do the next part of this, or the previous part of this. I guess it's going to have to be the next part now, because I'm already talking about it as if this is the first part. We'll do that on the bench in the shop, and I'll go over the shocks. I have those chrome ones that I'm going to be giving away. I'll show you what they look like on the bench, and we'll go from there. So, all right, hope you guys liked a little bit of off-road riding from Renenland, which is what I'm going to call my backyard track now. Because my son Renan is definitely the purveyor of this track. One more jump. There we go. I'm going to pull the bike right in the shop so I make sure that I work on that cutting out problem. As you can see, I got a lot of stuff going on here. The KX is out. We took that to Orlando MX. I rode. CRF 110's got a flat rear tube. I got Miata seats in here because I'm cleaning them and selling stuff. Just cleaned up my work area. So what I'll do is I'll pull the bike in here and we'll start troubleshooting that cutting out problem too. Okay, so welcome back. We're picking this back up in the shop. Behind me I have a bunch of shocks. So essentially what we did, we are on our 1, 2, 3, 4th set of shocks now on the 2019 Monkey. 4 sets of shocks. So that's the stock shocks, the man-in-the-box shocks, the D&M AK-47s or something. It's not AK-47, but I don't know. Hold on. It's going to bug me. I'm OCD with that. D&M MKAR. I was way off on that. MKAR. Come on, camera. Focus for me. MKAR. That is the 3rd set of shocks we had on there. I'll backtrack. The 2nd set of shocks was the man-in-the-box shocks. And the current set of shocks are these, but not these. The shocks on the bike are the same as these, but with black springs. I'll show you a picture of those. They're on the bike. These are chrome. I'm sure you can see that. They are bling bling chrome. So these are good looking shocks, just not for my taste on this bike. I like the blacked out kind of vibe to it, a little bit stealth, a little bit cafe racer. So the chrome wasn't fitting my style. So called TB Parts and said, hey, do you got any of these in black? These are pretty nice shocks. And they said, yeah, we sure do. So sent me a set of blacks, and I was going to send them back these chrome shocks. They said, you know what, keep those shocks and give them away for your next giveaway. So guess what? These shocks are going to be one of y'all's out there. So that's the next giveaway that we're going to do, is for a set of these TB parts mystery shocks. And I say mystery because, like I said earlier in my riding video, I have no idea what these are called. I don't know how to find them on TB Parts website. I've told them, my buddy Dalton up there said, "Hey Dalton, where do you find these on your site?" He said, "Well, these are the part numbers." Searched the part numbers, couldn't find them. So I don't know if I'm just not looking right or they're not actually on the site, but they do have them. So I'm going to give you the part numbers for them in the description. So that's going to be important. So essentially I have these TB Parts mystery shocks for the 2019 and up Honda Monkey. And I want to tell you right now, they are absolutely awesome. I love these shocks. I don't even know how much they cost. So that's the scary part, because TB Parts sent me them to try. I tried them. I loved them. Tried to pay them. They said, "No, don't worry about it." So thank you, TB Parts. You guys are awesome to me, and I'm sure you're awesome to the rest of your customers, and I hope you guys support them for how they treat me and how hopefully they treat you. So anyways, the Chrome Mystery TB shocks. Let's get to talking about them. So I don't know what the spring rate is on these shocks. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare them to the other shocks that I've run. So the first shocks on the list are the Man in the Box shocks. And I can tell you just visually looking at them, you can see the differences. Let me make sure I have them even the right way. Don't even have them the right way. So we're looking at these from bottom to top. And you see the Man in the Box shocks have a thicker cap, and it's a progressive rate spring, but not as progressive as the mystery TB Part shocks. This is very progressive. So do you see these tightly wound coils here? That means that it is going to be very soft in this area. So you can see, I don't even know if you can see it or not, but I can see it. I'm compressing that tightly wound coil section with my fingers. And then this section here is widely spaced. Let's head back to the Man in the Box shocks. Man in the Box shocks have a similar setup, but without as many tightly compressed coils in the top. So they're still progressive, but not as progressive. Does that make sense to y'all? It's hard to explain it. So essentially a progressive rate spring is a spring that has one rate all the way up through the section where the coils are spaced evenly, and then you can see where they tighten up here. That section is where it gets progressive. So the spring rate essentially changes on how tightly and wider spaced the coils are. Somebody would probably call me out for this. I might have it backwards, but I'm thinking where they're compressed very tight is where they're softer, and where they're compressed further apart is where they're stiffer. Comment and tell me if I'm wrong. Might be. So what the progressive rate spring does is provides for a dual rate of spring. This is pretty cool, because what that means is for the amount that you're using this rate, it's going to be stiff, and then once you compress down to this rate, it's going to get softer. So you're going to get a softer spring at regular riding conditions, and then once these coils compress and become one solid spring, this spring rate is going to take over. So you have, I don't know what theoretically say, and I say theoretically because I don't know what the spring rate is on these. So let's say this is 100 inch-pounds of spring rate right here in this section, and then this is 50 inch-pounds, let's say. So when you're riding normally, you're riding on 50 inch-pounds down here, and that's pretty soft, right? Okay, so then you hit a bump, and this part of the spring compresses and coil binds, creates a solid section, and then the 100 inch-pound spring takes over. this is science that my brain doesn't easily comprehend, so I'm hoping you guys are following along. So correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Surely there's somebody out there that's smarter than me on this. I've been in race cars almost my whole life, and I've just gotten into motorcycles within, well, I've actually ridden motorcycles for most of my life, but I've only gotten into digging into them the last couple of years. So anyways, tell me if I'm wrong. So anyways, let's get back to the details. The man in the box shocks over here, the TV parts mystery shocks here. I don't see a whole lot of difference between them. Really, it's kind of impossible to tell if you don't have the spec sheet, but it's a little bit thinner on the eyes on the top, the mounting eyes. So that might mean something to y'all that want to mount a rear rack. I know the man in the box shocks didn't facilitate the mounting of a rear cargo rack too easily. Maybe these shocks will. It's a little bit thinner. Let's see if that helps out. Maybe that helps with the rack. I don't know. I don't have a rack. And bump stops are still rubber on both of them, so that's not going to matter. We switch over here to the AK-47 shocks, MKAR shocks, and we have a MCU, microcellular, I can never say that, microcellular urethane, MCU bump stop. I can tell you that that bump stop's worlds better than rubber. So I really wish that these shocks came with the MCU bump stops, because that would make for an insanely good shock, because I love this shock the way it is. But these look really similar. Really similar. And I'm thinking that the biggest difference is this dampening adjustment here and the spring rate. These springs look a little bit thinner, and I can tell you that these are 150, the D&M are 150 inch-pounds. So I'm thinking that, also, I'm going to interrupt myself, the D&M shocks are not progressive. So if you look at this, you can see there is a big difference right here. You can see the shock on the top is progressive, where it has the tightly wound coils on this side and the big space coils here. The D&M shock on the bottom is not progressive. So I'm going to tell you, a non-progressive spring, a linear spring, is going to be stiffer than a non-linear progressive spring. Maybe that's the difference. I don't know. I don't have a whole bunch of information on the specs of these TB part shocks, so I can't put numbers to this. Anyways, getting back to it, this shock is a really good shock, and I really wish I could tell you how much it costs, but I don't know. I cannot imagine that it costs more than the man in the box, nor can I say it costs more than the AK-47 shocks. So I'm thinking this is probably $150 to $200 shock set, which puts it on the budget end of shocks, which is good because, hey, it's a really good shock at a really good price. So I recommend it. Out of all the shocks I've found on the bike so far, this is the one I've liked the best. If somebody's got a set of the YSS shocks out there and you don't have them on the bike, I would pay for the shipping to have you send them to me so I can test them against these shocks and find out what they do, how they feel compared to these. And then I would like to do a high-end shock shootout with the Olin's and the Racing Bros rear shocks. I just don't know if I want to drop $700-800 on those yet just to test them. So if anybody's got a set of those and they're willing to let me borrow them and test them, that would be cool, and let me fulfill my entire shock spectrum videos for the Honda Monkey. So that's where I think I'm going to end it. So out of the low to middle budget shocks, I recommend these TB part shocks, and I will put the part numbers for them in the description. There's going to be a part number for the chrome spring. There's going to be a part number for the black spring, which is on the bike. I'll show you that here in a second. And once again, these are going to be given away on my channel. So be sure to subscribe so you know when that video comes out, and like the video when I do the giveaway. Make sure you like it, you subscribe, you comment. In this way it enters you in that contest. So that's all we're going to do. I hope you guys enjoyed the research that I've done in this. Hopefully it helps you decide on what shocks work for you. And once again, if you have any questions or you want to keep in touch or just touch base with me, find me on Instagram. At the end of the video I have a like a little icon there for my Instagram, or if you like the Facebook, you can become friends with me on Facebook. I'm on all the monkey groups. Surely some of you all know me already. Or if you like to communicate through email, you can find that info on my YouTube About page. So once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the subscriptions. Thanks for all the feedback, good and bad feedback, the comments, all the well wishes, and people that follow me. Thank you. See you next time.